So this week in lab, we're looking at the skeletal muscles. We are not looking at all of these muscles shown here. I've chosen muscles that go attached to and act to move on the shoulder joint, the elbow joint, and the knee joint. This is still quite a few muscles. So what I want to do in this video is orient you, give you a list of those muscles, which should already, you've come up with some of them for your particular joint, and show you where they all attach. That terminology, that anatomy should be familiar from last week's skeleton lab. You're going to be actually attaching clay muscles this week in lab. So this video will be nice to see to help you be able to do that a little bit better. So not all of the muscles shown here. We're doing a subset of the muscles. Here are the muscles that act around the glenohumeral joint, which is the ball and socket joint of your shoulder. So those of you who have this joint as for your project, you came up with a list very similar to this. Please check your list and make sure you have these same muscles. I put some notes on some of yours to add this one. So we're going to look at these 9 muscles right now and see where they attach so that you can better do this in lab. So in this image, there's a bunch of muscles shown. Also got the scapula from the anterior view right here. So this fits in right here. We'll be using that a little bit. So it's not all of the muscles shown here. You still don't need to know all of these. For the movement of that ball and socket joint, we're going to be looking at the Pectoralis Major, the Subscapularis, and the Coracobrachialis, as well as 6 others not shown in this picture. So let's start with these. The Pectoralis Major, that is going to, as you can see from this image, it's going to have an insertion all along the clavicle from the acromial end all the way down to the sternal end, and then all along that sternum. It actually attaches to those costal cartilages there as well. So it's actually somewhat unique in that it's a very large attachment point. This is the origin. That's the attachment point shown here. The insertion for the Pectoralis Major is at the intertubercular sulcus and the greater tubercle of the humerus. So that is not really shown in this image. It's going to be back there. We'll see a better view of that later. If we look at this one, right, it would be kind of more over here. So maybe I have that arrow a bit high. You will be attaching that in lab. Next, we've got the subscapularis. So sub means below. This is going to attach at the subscapular fossa. Can't really see where that is here, but look at this. We've got this right here. This right along here is our subscapular fossa. This is where the subscapularis is going to attach. Let's label that. And this we can see is the anterior view, right? I have that listed here. Anterior view, that's where that subscapular fossa is, where the subscapularis attaches. Isn't that convenient? It's going to then insert out at the, where are we here? Out here, this is the lesser tubercle out here of the humerus. That's where the lesser tubercle is where the subscapularis attaches. This information is all in your book in table 10.9. That's where these muscle attachments are listed, just so you know. You'll use those in the pre-lab as well as in lab. Lastly on this image is the Coracobrachialis. This is going to start up here at the coracoid process of the scapula. Coracobrachialis. The name makes sense, huh? So the insertion of this one, the other attachment point, is going to just be the medial surface of the distal humerus, midway about down the humerus on the medial side. Okay, let's keep going. Let's look at a posterior view so we can see some other muscles. On this one, we've got quite a few. We've got the trapezius, the deltoid, the Latissimus Dorsi, let's see, the Supraspinatus, the Infraspinatus, the teres minor. These three, along with the Subscapularis, make up the rotator cuff muscles of your shoulder. Okay, so let's start with trapezius. This one is going to actually insert up by the occipital bone. That's one reason I had you learn the occipital bone of the skull, all the way down to the thoracic vertebrae. So the insertion, that attachment is also very long. It's a huge muscle. And then the insertion is going to be at the acromion over here, as well as the scapular spine and a little bit on the clavicle and on the clavicle, sorry. So all along there. Deltoid is going to attach to the acromial end of the clavicle, all along the spine of the scapula as well. So kind of the same attachment point as the trapezius, but it is originating on the other side because it's going to then insert down here at the deltoid tuberosity. Remember that? Not the most obvious bone marking on the humerus, but that's why we looked at it, was because we wanted to see where the deltoid was going to attach. Hopefully now you carry more. Latissimus dorsi is also a large muscle. A lot of the back muscles are really big. That's going to attach from along the lower thoracic vertebrae as well, all the way down to the iliac crest, actually, which you can't really see as well down here, but there it is. A little bit on the ribs as well in front. And then it's going to insert up in here where you can't quite see in the intertubercular sulcus of the humerus. Intertubercular sulcus. Okay. Supraspinatus. This one is going to attach at the supraspinatus fossa. So that is up here. So in the other view, we've got it right here, right? Here's our supraspinatus matching up there. I'm going to do some color changes here now. The infraspinatus, that one is going to attach to the infraspinatus fossa, which is down here. So that's down here, right? And you maybe remember that from last week. This is both posterior view. So the supraspinatus and infraspinatus you can see from the posterior view, and those fossa are on the posterior side. The subscapularis, that's on that interior view. The other thing that's similar is both the supraspinatus and the infraspinatus are going to insert onto the greater tubercle. The subscapularis inserts on the lesser tubercle. Another way to categorize them is different. Lastly here, teres minor is another rotator cuff muscle. It's going to, it's going to attach on the lateral border of the scapula, to the dorsal side of the scapula, that's where we are, along the lateral border, so kind of along here. And then it's also going to insert on the greater tubercle. So basically all of these, the three rotator cuffs on the back side, the posterior view, are all going to insert on the greater tubercle. The subscapularis is going to insert on the lesser tubercle.